You're listening to Breaking Bias, the podcast all about preconceived opinions. Join us as we dive headfirst into a new prejudice every other week. From the absurd to the controversial, no bias is off limits. Ultimately, the real question is, will you break or take the bias?
Okay, ladies, episode 5.
Yes, back at it again.
Indeed. Are we ready?
Yes.
Born ready.
Next bias.
Yes. So the bias for today, women belong in the kitchen.
Haha.
And we're all women, so
Should be
Yeah.
interesting.
It's the only thing we do.
indeed.
So as always, let's start with facts and figures. So the idea that women are mainly suited for domestic work while men are more inclined towards other ideas is a social stereotype rooted in historical gender roles. However, it's crucial to emphasize that this perspective has been wildly disagreed with in modern times, which I totally agree with. Statistics found that 47% of stay-at-home mothers reported feeling worried and 54% reported feeling stressed.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
That's a lot of moms.
I also think it's because they have more time to overthink, worry, stress, and everything. Like when you're at work, you're distracted mainly.
Well, I think I disagree because I think that if you're talking about only stay-at-home moms, apparently, it makes more sense to me that people that work have more stress because they have like deadlines and meetings and things they need to do. And stay-at-home moms, if you're a stay-at-home mom, you just need to do like the things.
That's
Now
okay.
you're
That's also-
underestimating how
yeah,
hard it is to
That's
be
also a lot
stay-at-home
of
mom.
things to do.
Yeah, maybe that's so because I think people that are moms that are working still need to do the same things that stay-at-home
Yeah,
moms.
and
So I
I-
believe that stay-at-home moms have it less.
Yeah, and that's maybe also because you compare it with your own mother and you have 3 sisters and she worked and she
Yeah.
also did it everything at home. So
Yeah.
that's a combination and then it's hard. But maybe
Yeah, if
when
you're-
you only have to do the household, maybe it's not hard.
yeah.
Yeah,
So maybe
I agree,
then
actually.
you're like worried and stressed about other things, but I cannot believe that you're worried and stressed about the workload you have because I think mothers that work and do
No,
the
but
things
it's
at home-
it's not like in comparison. They might still both be stressed, one more than the other.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But just looking at stay-at-home moms doesn't mean they are not busy.
Mm.
Like stay-at-home
Yeah.
mom doesn't mean they're on the couch all day.
That's true.
Yes, that's true.
Do you have some more facts?
Yes, I do. So a survey found that 56% of women with a child under 18 would prefer to stay home and care for their house and family, while 58% of those without young children would rather work outside the house.
Okay, so that means half of the women with a child would like to be a stay-at-home mom, and half of the women without a child would
Would-
like to work.
Yeah. So
So that's very 50-50
yeah.
on both types of women,
Yeah.
mothers or not mothers.
Mhm.
I think it's quite odd also because when I look at our study, for example, there's so like a lot of the students are women. So you would expect if you do a study that you would get a bachelor and then do work with the bachelor. So
Mhm.
then I think some of those students wouldn't really have an intention to become a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
So why is there still like 50% of the women who would
Well,
rather be a stay-at-home mom?
I think that's maybe because it's based on the global numbers. Because I think if you look at the numbers in the Netherlands, for
I
example,
think it's higher.
Yeah.
there are not that much women that say that want to be a stay-at-home moms. There
Yeah.
are a lot of women that say they want to work part-time because that's a
Yeah,
trend
that's
right
true.
now.
Yeah.
But a part-time is something different than a stay-at-home mom.
Mhm.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I
But-
think in other countries than the Netherlands, it's still like the traditional
Yeah.
thought, maybe.
Like
And
it's
we
not
are
weird
already-
and
Yeah, we
Yeah.
are already further in that, maybe. Okay,
Interesting.
Dirkje, do you have more?
Yes. So another statistic shows that the education level of stay-at-home mothers has increased since 1970, with 25% of 2012 stay-at-home mothers being college graduates compared to 7% in the 1970s. So a lot of the stay-at-home moms are now more educated these days than they were like 30 years ago.
Sounds logical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes sense to me
true because a lot of right now it's very normal for women to
to study.
study and go further in their studies
Yeah.
instead of dropping out after like high school.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So therefore, I think it's also logical that a lot of stay-at-home moms right now do have a college degree, but just chose to stay home. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, and also the higher the father's income is, the more likely the mother is to have also a bachelor.
To me, that's basically saying that higher educated men prefer higher educated women, no matter if they want to be stay at home or working full time.
Yeah, but it's also quite strange to think like, why would, if for example when you meet each other when you're in college or even before that, and you know you're going to want to become a stay-at-home mom, why would you like?
I think that's very few people, honestly.
Yeah.
That's a very small group. I think it's mainly just. Also, it now kind of sounds like the women have a bachelor due to the men, but I think it's the exact other way around. The men search for women, higher educated women.
I think that's
intelligent people.
I think that makes sense because you want to level with your partner, right? So if you have a high income, generally you do have like a higher IQ or just are smarter. That's of course generally taken. And therefore you want to level with your partner. So it's logical that your partner also has a bachelor.
Yeah, that you're looking for that person who with the same level or something.
Yeah, of course. Like if you're like swimming in money and the female, like the mother, then wants to stop working, that could be possible. So therefore, I understand that those stay-at-home moms do have a bachelor, but just chose that it's not necessary to work.
Yeah, for sure. And for the last one, and this is also found after the corona pandemic, but mothers are more likely to work from home than fathers, which is a comparison of 13% versus 10%.
It's not a big difference.
But I think that there is a difference. I
think it's very natural.
Yeah.
Maybe you disagree with that it has to be that way, but I do still think that a lot of people feel like that's the most natural way.
Yeah, I think it's very common and obvious right now in the society we live in that still mothers do more for children. For example, like mothers are being called when the child is sick, even though the father is the first contact person at school, for example.
Yeah.
Still, the mothers will be called.
Yeah, indeed, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's move on with the next segment, which is Ask AI. I asked AI the following question. Why do people believe that women belong in the kitchen? And the answer of AI was as follows.
The belief that women belong in the kitchen is rooted in traditional gender roles and stereotypes that have persisted in many societies for centuries. It is important to note that this belief is not universal, and many individuals and cultures do not subscribe to this view. The origins of this belief can be traced back to patriarchal systems where men were traditionally assigned roles as breadwinners and women were expected to fulfill domestic duties, including cooking and taking care of the household. These gender roles were reinforced through cultural norms, religious teachings, and societal expectations.
The thing is, when I compare it to my, when I was at home, when I lived at home with my parents, always when my dad came home and he did the grocery shopping or he cooked, he said like, yeah, I did this today, you know?
Look what I did.
Look what I did. And then I was like, yeah, but mom does it every day, you know? So I think, in my opinion, it's still in our society that fathers think or need credits when they did something like that.
It's so special when they do it.
Yeah, and then my mother said, yeah, but I do it every day. So what's special about that?
Yeah.
So I think.
But did your mom also work besides the?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So I don't think he does it on purpose, my dad. But I think it's still like in our brains that we think like that.
Like rooted. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also have a funny situation from this because my father was a stay-at-home father because my mother was the one that had the highest income and had the best job, and my father was just dropped out from hospital. He worked in hospital, and he started for himself as a plumber because we had my sister was born, and he was like, I will just start a company of my own so I can choose when to work. And my mother was just working 9 to 5 days a week. So basically, my father was the first stay-at-home father, stay-at-home father at home to care for my sisters, for my older sister, and my mother was the one who had to work.
Mm-hmm.
and I was raised this way. But then when I was getting older, I saw that in society it's like the other way around, and it's very weird to say this. And for example, my father still to this day, even when they are working evenly, does exactly the same at home as my mother. Like, it's not that my mother does more. Like, my father cooks as well, the same as my mother, does exactly the same things. It's like literally 50-50. So I don't know. I really cannot, like, I find it so interesting that in society it's so normal
that it's the other way
mothers
around.
do the most at home. Because
Maybe that's interesting then. So for you it was 50-50. For you it's mainly your mom, I think.
Yeah.
And what about you?
Yeah,
Kirsten?
so when I was 4, my parents divorced, and my mom, she was working part-time, but that had to change after divorce because she had a lot of stress and things coming along. And at that time, I also had a quite hard time at school, and I was coping with new medication for my ADHD. So she chose to stay at home, and she would do that for like maybe 10 years. And then she would go back to work once we were kind of settled in. But she fell in love with this man who made sure that she didn't have to do that again. And I think like 4 years back, she actually got a job, which was really nice. Yeah, so we could, especially to pay for like the fun things. But there was some things happening, so she had to stop this work. But I think it's very nice for her to, like, she studied and she wanted to become like she have this great career, but she stopped that because she knew her family was kind of suffering from it, and they needed some more attention. So I really appreciate her doing that. But I think myself, I would do that the other way around. So I would like to be there for my children as my mom has been, but I still want to have something for myself, and I am doing a study, so I want to do something with that. But I also I had this conversation with my boyfriend about it. It was really nice because it was a friend of us asked my boyfriend, like, if Dirk would earn more with her job, would you be able to stop working or work less to take care of the family? And he would say in an instant, he would like, yeah, of course. And also we were agreeing that we want to work to live and not the other way around. So we would rather want to work less or have a lower income than work all the time.
Yeah, then live to work.
Yeah.
All right.
So. And for you, Bibi?
Well, my parents also got divorced when I was like 2 or something. So I lived with my mom, so she was mainly working full-time, sometimes part-time. And my dad, also sometimes like different. He was a stay-at-home dad for a while, but overall, I think 80% of the time he was like more than full-time working. So yeah. That's why I find it difficult to like put myself in a position where I agree with the bias, because I cannot imagine women just being in the kitchen because my mom had to work.
Yeah,
you know?
Indeed. Yeah. Otherwise, she couldn't live
take care
or
of me.
Take care of you.
Yeah. Okay.
We all have different situations, so that's interesting.
Yeah, but maybe it would be fun to hear some more different opinions or situations. So maybe it's time for public opinion.
I disagree with the bias because, first of all, I don't believe there's a biological factor that would make women inherently better at cooking or managing a household. So it's a learned social behavior that women are expected to provide food, be in the kitchen, etc. And I know a lot of women, myself included, who don't enjoy cooking and view it only as a necessity. And on the other hand, I know a lot of men who absolutely love cooking, trying out new recipes, stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's just a very outdated view of the world, a very outdated bias.
I think the ratio could be better. Yeah, I think a lot of women are caught between career, home, and what they are expected to do as moms, and then they struggle, or the whole family struggles. Yeah, So I think the question shouldn't be politicized, but it should be left to women to decide on their own what they want to do with their life and with their career.
So I agree that women belong in the kitchen because I think that a man should provide for the family and should really like be busy and concerned with earning money and getting food on the table, ironically speaking. But he shouldn't be concerned with, preparing the food, looking after the children. I think that's really something that women should have as their main task.
Well, I don't agree with the bias that women belong in the kitchen because I think it's a traditional thought. And yeah, if men and women enjoy to be in the kitchen, they can stand both in the kitchen. So yeah, I don't agree.
It's interesting because the second one, I think, he said women should decide for themselves, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
But he also said, I think they are stuck between careers and what they are expected to do.
Yeah,
That's kind of saying they have
so he does
obligations.
believe
Yeah.
in the bias because
Right?
the bias women belong in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Therefore, they're expected to be there. But
Yeah,
What they're expected to do. Like
exactly.
that they have that.
You have the obligation, apparently. Yeah.
And I find it also very interesting that the third one, the guy who agreed, funny enough, it did me like to think about, do you know Temptation Island?
Yes,
I
indeed.
hate this program because a lot of men there believe in a traditional
Yeah.
way of
Yes,
living. They want to be
indeed.
in a traditional
Like
relationship.
taking care of my woman.
Yeah.
Oh my
And,
god.
Oh,
so
I hate that,
cringy.
and I think like that person also is like fond of the traditional way, which is very
Yeah.
not modern anymore. And yeah, I believe that they downgrade women in that way, thinking that way that
Yeah.
men should do everything, and you with the way of thinking, you
also,
downgrade.
Like
That we don't have the brain and we only can do the practical things in
Yeah.
life.
yeah, but also in Temptation, for example, there's these guys who have this traditional like attitude, but they are only there because there's also a woman in one of the relationships who also wants to be like in a traditional way.
Mhm.
So there are still women who would rather do that.
Yeah.
So then then it makes sense that there are also still guys who wants to do that.
And also, let's keep in mind, they get screened for this. Like, they get casted for
Yeah,
this. Like, typical
sure.
men, but also typical women who say, like, oh, of course, when I don't look, my dude's gonna, cheat on me, blah, blah, blah. So I think it's very, like, they choose the stereotypes.
Yeah, indeed.
But-
it's not general people in.
Like, if I can come back to that third guy who does believe women belong in the kitchen, I know completely what you mean, Noor, and I agree with it. But also, you could think of it the other way around. Women might be naturally better at some tasks, like men are naturally better at some tasks.
Yeah, I agree.
That's for example, my father always does the garden, and
Exactly.
my mother don't want to
Yeah.
do that. So
And mothers are maybe more like careful or gentle or
Yeah,
something.
but
So
Female are generally better at gardening, right? Like that's also a bias.
not in my
no,
beliefs.
in my
or-
beliefs, my father always does the garden.
But maybe that's more like a hobby thing. But for example, with babies, mothers might be more gentle or might be in general more interested in taking care
Well,
of the baby.
I disagree with all your examples because
Okay.
I do agree. No, but I do agree that in general men have better strengths for other tasks than women. So, for
Mhm.
example, lifting and like physiques, like because men are stronger. But gardening and caring for a baby does not have anything to do with their physique or their anything. So I believe that for example, gardening can be. It's not that in general men are better at gardening. If you look at physiques of men and
but
women,
I'm not really talking about physiques. I mean gentle, not physically gentle.
yeah, but that's a
caring.
bias because
I don't think so, honestly, because if it wasn't that way, that women naturally have more caring feelings, why is it that way then in society? That mainly women take care of kids?
because that's a traditional thing. I did a minor, like here I am again with my minor last year, where we like dig very deep into like characteristics of people, and from various studies, which are from the studies like people are blue, yellow, red, or green.
Yeah.
Physiques can differ from gender, but characteristics are like equal. So it's not that men are in general less caring, or female are in general less caring. It's just that because we think that way, we see it, but it's not there. Like if you look at the characteristics of people, it's literally 50-50 of how people are divided.
Okay, that I believe, but maybe something different then. What if women are just, like plainly said, more interested in taking care of the baby? Because it's not like we're being suppressed to do it, to be stay-at-home moms. I think a lot of stay-at-home moms are not thinking, oh, fuck, it's me who has to stay home.
No.
It's not
their
like
own choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not under like compulsion or anything.
And if it's not, you should go out of that relationship.
Yeah, the reason I believe, and that's an opinion, the reason I believe that it's the case that a lot of women tend to care for children more or than men is because we see it that way. Because we as a society believe that women do it more. People also choose to do it. But if you ask a man and a mother and a father, do you want to care for your child as much as the other does? I think everyone will say yes. Of course, that's generally taken. But I think if you ask it, everyone will say, I want to take care of my child. But because of the way we see society and people expect us to behave, it's normal that a mother does it more. But it's not that the mother wants it more than a father. That's how I believe it.
And that's indeed... Do you know any woman who has a gardening company? No, it's always men. So I believe that men are better in that, but you say, no, it's more that they see it as a hobby and they like it more.
Yeah, because
and that's something
because
I
society
agree with.
tells them to like it. I disagree with that, sorry. Interesting.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe it's time for POV. Fenna, this week I prepared POV for you.
Ooh, interesting.
Ooh. Okay, so the POV. You and your partner have been together for quite some time and you live together. You both have ambitions in your career paths and you've decided to try for a baby. And you both know that one of you has to start working part-time for the first few years. That's like a fact you already stated.
Mm-hmm.
Your partner explained that he is not willing to give up his job as he believes this is the role of a woman. What would you do?
Yeah, so this is actually an interesting one because I had a boyfriend who always said that it is indeed expected that a woman should
like traditional roles.
Do the household thing. And that's also because he was raised in this as well, because his mother did all the things in the household and his father was always at the office working.
Yeah.
So he mentioned this a lot of times to me and I was always like, no, that's not the thing. That's not the case anymore.
Like you said, like prepare to be a stay-at-home mom. Yeah,
like prepare that you do the dishes, you do the laundry.
Yeah, like domestic tasks.
Yeah.
Was it also during your study while you're not both working?
Yeah.
So you're both studying and you still had to do the dishes?
Yeah, no, it was not for that
like
moment, but in the future
okay.
he has the thought and he expects from me that I should do that in the future.
Yeah.
And I really disagree with that. So I would definitely not go further with that relationship. No, I
So it's that important that you would give that up because you are in love.
I think knowing you better, you would just say, sorry, I love you, but I won't do it. And if he then choose to stay with you, then you were like, okay, love you, I'm going to find a job. But if he's getting angry and he's stopping it because of that reason, you will also stop it. But it's not that you will stop it for that reason.
Yeah, no, indeed. It's a combination of more things, of course. But
you are not willing to give it up.
No.
But I don't think both of you have to give it up like the whole way. I think you can both maybe if it
No, but
works
that's what
out.
I mean. That's why it's like the POV. That's why I said like it's a fact. You've already stated in your relationship, one of you has to work part-time.
Yeah, but then you don't have to give all your job up, right? You can just work a few less
and
hours
maybe
a
the thing
week.
is, I maybe would be open to work part-time, that's not the whole case that I want to work full-time, but it's more like that the thought he has is not like
his beliefs are not in line with your beliefs.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So it's not that he has to work part-time and I have to work full-time. That's not the whole thing, but more that the belief of him is not my belief, so that we're not in one line, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
interesting.
Okay, so I think this POV is a really interesting one. So I gave my opinion, but I'm also curious about Noor's opinion, actually. So what would you do, Noor, in this situation?
Get ready.
Yeah, funny enough, I think you already, from listening to all my opinions during this podcast, you can hear that I disagree with the bias, and I really believe that women don't belong in the kitchen and don't need to do everything in the household. But regarding this POV, like if I look at the situation of my parents, they had a child, and my mother was the one, as I already told, that got the money in. However, my mother did not really enjoy her job, and my father had a company for himself that was doing okay. So even though my mother was the one who earned the money, they chose that my mother needed to stop her job because she didn't enjoy it. And what I wanted to say is, I think you should not look at who is earning money, but who wants to keep their job and who enjoys it. I think it's more.
But that's a dilemma. You both have ambitions in your career paths.
Yeah. So
And
you both like.
Yeah, and your partner tells you he's not willing to give up his job.
Yeah.
But you also have ambitions. What would you do?
So, for example, if I have a job I don't really enjoy, of course I would stop and I would just look for another job I do enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
But what if you have ambitions?
If I have ambitions, like I would do the same as Fenna. I'm not going to quit my job because I do have ambitions. But if my partner has a job he really likes and I see that he does not want to stop it, of course, don't do it because you enjoy it. And work is also something you need to enjoy. If I have a job I don't enjoy, I will stop and I will take care of the child more in the first year as he has a lot of things to do. But I will not, I think what I want to say is I think you should not always look at who's taking care, but who has the best life and who enjoys life most and who is
open for maybe other options.
Yeah, for improvements in their way to enjoy their life more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, because right now it's only looking at taking care, but I think...
Yeah, that's also a good point of view. That's another way you can consider with each other. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
I think maybe we all told our part in this bias. I think it's time for break or take.
Who wants to start?
I can start because I think for me it's very clear.
Yeah.
I am going to break the bias. I do not believe women belong in the kitchen. I think it's something you should, in your situation, see how your situation is with your partner and how you want to do it in your relationship. I think it's not something.
Yeah, and then I will also break the bias. But I do think, just like the other episode with the tattoos etc., we all do still maybe have this kind of bias, or we are rooted with.
Even though it's wrong, you are a little.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. So, yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay, Dirkje.
Yeah, so of course I'm gonna break the bias. I want women to become equal to men, but I do feel and I do see in my own life that we are still biased, and myself
same.
also. So I want to break it, but I also see that some things come more natural to women.
Yeah.
For example, my boyfriend, he doesn't mind if all the clothes are on the floor and stuff like that. And it's just like this spear in my eye. If there's these clothes laying around, I just can't handle that. And he can. So it becomes more natural, I think. So, and Bibi.
I will partially take the bias. Of course, in general, I'm against the bias. I don't believe women belong in the kitchen like it's some kind of rule under pressure or whatever. But I also believe, like I said before, that I do believe maybe because of society or maybe because just of the way we are, that women have more interest in doing that kind of things than men, maybe. And what I also think, like now we're all being like, oh, women empowerment. Like, no, I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom. But I'm quite sure that at least one out of the 4 of us will become a mom and think, fuck no, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. Because you change when you have children.
But do you think one of us would like really stay at home and have no job?
No, but I mean more like when you become a mom, your opinion will change.
Yeah,
that I'm quite sure of because we're only in our 20s.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't think everyone will keep this opinion until the end of time. Maybe Nor will, but
busted.
Yeah. But indeed,
yeah,
that's
so
interesting.
So I'm a little halfway through. I don't believe it should be some kind of rule or expected of you, like the man in public opinion said. But yeah, I do think it's maybe sometimes more natural.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right, clear.
So, see you next time.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
That's all for today's episode of Breaking Bias. Thank you for tuning in as we explored the weird and wonderful world of prejudice. We'll be back soon with more episodes that are sure to make you question everything you thought you knew. See you next time!